How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Two Bros Sports Podcast. I am your host, Hunter Smith, and I'm here with my brother and co-host, Dakota Smith. How are you doing it late tonight, Dakota?
Oh, have to deal with a depressing Chiefs loss to the Bills. So, you know how that goes. I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm used to being disappointed even when we're good. And got disappointed again. They left a minute 4 on the clock, thought they had enough time, and then Mahomes decides he wants to throw an interception late in the game. So, that's how that went. But just another NFL Sunday. So,
Yeah, well, mine was a Premier League Sunday. I enjoyed watching some Premier League this morning.
I did watch the Man City Liverpool match this morning. Did make that. I did make that a priority. That was a fun one to watch.
It was very good. But neither one of those sports we're here to talk about. Hopefully, at some point, maybe the Premier League podcast will get started. God knows when. But we're here for the NBA. Season starts in 2 days. As we're recording this, it is Sunday, October 16th. So Tuesday's when it starts. Warriors, Lakers, I know, and I can't remember the second game to save my life. So
I think it's Brooklyn and Philly.
Brooklyn. Okay, I was like, it's Philly and someone I thought. So
I think I'll double check that for you. I'm pretty sure it's Philly and Brooklyn.
Yeah, NBA season starting
Philly and Boston. Wrong B in that division. Philly and Boston. That makes sense that the two teams that played in the finals would open the season.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
Yeah, NBA season going to get underway soon. Should be a really good year, I think, actually. I think there's going to be a lot of competitive teams. I think it's going to be a competitive season. But we're here to talk specifically about the Northwest Division consisting of the Denver Nuggets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, Portland Trailblazers, and the Utah Jazz. Trash. I mean, this division isn't atrocious. I don't even want to
It's the top two teams in this division, and then
everybody else.
Literally, you've got Denver getting Jamal Murray back. I loved him. I really really liked Denver this year. Spoiler alert. That's who we're probably going to talk about first. I love Denver this year. I love Denver. Yeah. Minnesota is going to be the interesting piece in this division with all the stuff that they did in the offseason, trading for Rudy Gobert, sending half of their team to Utah, all that fun stuff. They're going to play Cat and Gobert at the same time. Yikes. You're going to tell me that when they play the Brooklyn Nets that Karl Anthony Towns is going to guard Kevin Durant? Yeah, okay. Karl Anthony Towns is going to guard Giannis? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well, we are going to start this off by talking about the Denver Nuggets. Of course, Jamal Murray returning, the big piece in this roster, coming back. Him and Jokic, obviously a deadly duo in this league, and this team is going to be very good this season.
Oh, yes. Like I said, I love Denver. I love Jamal Murray. I love Michael Porter if he can stay healthy. Jokic is Jokic. He is that guy. Nikola Jokic is that guy. Bones Highland was a surprise last year. He was really good for them coming off the bench. They brought in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They brought in Bruce Brown, who played really big minutes for the Nets last year. I think he's going to be a big part of this. They drafted Christian Brown out of KU. They're solid. They're solid. They're going to be really good. DeAndre Jordan's on this roster now too. But I think getting Jamal Murray back helps them immensely. And now you have your point guard back. We saw what Jamal Murray did in the bubble. If he can carry any of that over to now, I mean, it's been what? He didn't play at all last year. It's been over. Yeah, it's been a year and a half. Probably a year and a half, close to that, since we've seen Jamal Murray. And Porter was hurt a lot of last year. Jokic had to carry this team.
Yeah,
but I like Denver a lot. Jokic is Jokic. You know what you're gonna get out of him. You're gonna get a lot of points, a lot of rebounds, and a lot of assists every single night. And he's your franchise, and they got their other franchise guy back. So I think Denver's primed to make a run this year.
Yeah, Jamal Murray, counting the preseason, it was his first game. He had his first bucket in 539 days since the last time he played, all the way back in the bubble. So, I mean, I like the team. I'm a little concerned about maybe the front court depth. I mean, you have DeAndre Jordan to come off the bench, but You have Jeff Green, who isn't a bad piece, but I think a key player actually this year is Michael Porter not getting injured. Obviously,
Yeah.
the easy ones to call out is Jamal Murray, Jokic, but I think Aaron Gordon's just. I mean, he's
Mhm.
going to play his role, but I think Michael Porter, him staying healthy. It's an older team. They're definitely on the older side, but this team's going to be good. They're going to be a top team in the Western Conference. When we do our conference predictions, which will be Friday, more than likely, so a couple games into the season, I don't know what I'm going to do for the Western Conference. I haven't even thought about it, but like just thinking of teams in my head, it's going to be a tough thing to try and call. But I like the all around look of this team. Obviously Jokic is gonna do his thing. He can put up a triple double any night, whenever he
Yep.
wants. I mean, especially with Jamal Murray now, assists just got easier. So, and like you said, Bruce Brown played a big role for the Nets last season, coming off the bench, I believe, right?
No, he started a lot
So
last year. He had to start last year.
yeah, so I mean, he played good. They drafted Christian from KU, probably won't play at all, but we'll see. Colin Gillespie is here as well. But yeah, Bones Highland obviously had a very good year last year, considering. So I think we both gave it away that the Nuggets are going to be our top pick for the division,
I
but
really think Denver wins this division, and
I don't even know if it'll be close.
I don't think this division's close. I think
Yeah,
this could be the most lopsided division in basketball. I think Denver is that much better. I mean, Minnesota. You're gonna have to convince me. I like the pieces for Minnesota. I just want to see how the pieces gel.
Yeah.
Because they just released their fifth starter, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But they just released who their starting small forward was going to be a few days ago. So, but I love Denver. I think they're probably a 3 seed. They're probably the 3. That's probably where they'll hover around. Well, I have a few days to put those together, but no, I really really like Denver.
Yeah, I think a big key for Denver this season is obviously staying healthy and seeing how Jamal Murray, he may need a month or two to get back into it, but if he can hit the ground running, this is a very dangerous team.
Completely agree. And this is a sneaky. They're a sneaky team to get to the finals. I think this is a sneaky team to get all the way to the finals.
Yeah, for sure. And the next team moving forward here is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Obviously, I don't want to say the talk of the offseason, but there was a trade specifically that was the talk of the offseason, at least. And this trade did consist of them acquiring Rudy Gobert in exchange for Patrick Beverly, Malik Beasley, LiAngelo. Oh my goodness, Balmero. Sorry if I butchered that. For Jared Vanderbilt, the draft rights to center Walker Kessler, and a 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029 first round draft picks and a 2026 first round pick swap. My goodness, on July 6th, the internet exploded.
And if you want to know why Kevin Durant was never traded, that is why. That is
nobody
why.
else was traded.
Yeah. If that's the market for Rudy Gobert, I don't want to know what the market for Kevin Durant was. Like your next 10 first round picks and your 2 best players.
It would have been a ridiculous pricing
but
on Kevin Durant's
I
head.
think it's a good move, but I hinted at this a little bit. I think it's going to be really, really hard for them to play Towns and Gobert together.
Yeah.
I think that is going to be very, very difficult. I think you're going to see a lot of them staggering. They'll start the game. I think they should stagger them a lot. And they just named Jaden McDaniels. He's going to be the 3. So this starting lineup is huge.
Yeah.
Russell 6'4", Edwards 6'4", McDaniels 6'9", and then Towns 6'11", Gobert 7'1". Like this starting lineup is huge. But you bring Gobert in to anchor the defense. They brought in a lot of other role player pieces: Kyle Anderson, Brent Forbes, Eric Pascal, Austin Rivers, Torian Prince, guys like that to come off the bench, and those guys are going to be important because I think you're going to have to find Gobert and Towns aren't going to play 34 minutes together. I just do not see that happening. That's
They'll
why
have
in
to
the
split it.
I just don't like because good teams are going to rip them apart. Like good teams with athletic wings, like if LA decides the Lakers decide they want to play LeBron at the 4, no. You can't give me Cat guarding LeBron. Like it's the matchups that other teams can create. Like, but I mean, again, but on the offensive end, it's the same. It's the opposite. But Gobert's not an offensive stalwart. Like he's not a stud offensive player. I mean, he's called the Stifle Tower for a reason. Like he's a defensive guy. But I'm not 100% convinced yet. Do I think they're a playoff team? Yes. Yeah. But I don't know. I think they're about where they were last year. I think they could be the 5 or the 6, I think. I think that's a reasonable expectation. Edwards is still young. And I mean that's your franchise piece. I mean, Cat was their guy that they drafted highly. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to be good.
Yeah.
I just think you need to like temper your expectations here on Minnesota.
Yeah, I think, I mean, but for the Karl-Anthony Towns and Gobert situation, my biggest take at this is Cat last season, 25, 10, 4 assists, and 74 games played. And Gobert averaged 15 and 15. Essentially, what these two do to each other is cancel out their weaknesses. Because Gobert's not an offensive player. Cat is. Cat doesn't play defense. Gobert is DPOY race every year. So I think it can work. If they do it right, it can work. And if D'Angelo Russell, if he can play like he did when he was at Brooklyn, my God, it could work. And I love Anthony Edwards. I think he's a future superstar in this league. And Kyle Anderson's a good role player. McDaniels, we'll have to see how he does. Eric Pascal, I think, is on a 2-way. So he may not get to play as much. But, I mean, when he was at Golden State, he was good. Austin Rivers, decent role player. I like the look of him. Depth might be a question. But the biggest question of them all, like we're sitting here talking about, and everybody in the NBA world is talking about, it's how Gobert and Cat fit together and how they do this, how their minutes split and what they decide to do. And obviously it depends on role players as well, but Anthony Edwards only got better in the offseason. I can guarantee it. And I haven't watched any preseason basketball, so but we'll have to see. I think if they're a playoff team, at least play in, and I think they could win a play in. This isn't a team I'd want to face in the play in, honestly. Anthony Edwards is deadly, and he can definitely have his nights, and I would not want to face their essential twin towers there that they have.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see Minnesota. I think that I just really want to see what they're going to do with these guys. Like, it's all going to be how they use Cat and Gobert together, and how they mesh is going to be critical. But only time will tell with that.
Yeah, and I'm really interested. I really am. They have Luka Garza as well. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting for Minnesota fans this year. I feel like it's another thing where there could be a lot of ups and downs throughout the season and sneak in. So, we'll see what happens in Minnesota. But the next team with 300 first-round draft picks, the Oklahoma City Thunder, obviously a very, very young team. Mike Muscala, the only player over 30, and he's at the age of 31. And I don't know. I guess he'll probably play. But it's also a pretty short team as well, actually.
It depends on how you look at it. God. Depends on who you think. This all depends on who you think the starting lineup is for the Thunder. It really depends.
Their guards are tall.
Obviously, Shea is going to start. Shea and Dort, I think you can lock in. Right? I think you can lock those. Shea, Dort, and Giddey.
And Giddey.
Yeah. I think you could lock those. It's the front court. I mean, obviously it was supposed to be Chet Holmgren. Probably not going to be now. I'm very curious who they're for. I'm assuming they're probably going to start Bailey at the 4. They really like Darius Bailey. I don't, but they really like Darius Bailey, so that's all that matters.
And they're going to throw Poku in at the 5.
Oh my gosh, I want
skinny
him to be
190-pound Poku.
They have the place I look at. I use underdognetwork.com. They have really, really good NBA depth charts, and they're updated regularly. They've got Poku at the 4, but I think that's going to be Bailey. I think that's going to end up being Bailey. But like they're young, and this is as young as it gets in the league. They drafted 2 Jalen Williamses. Their names are spelled differently. They've drafted Jalen Williams out of Santa Clara. He was their other lottery pick, I believe. I believe he was their other lottery pick. That was the one they took a little bit later. Yeah, he was the 12th pick overall, and then Jalen Williams went a little bit later in the first round. He's out of Arkansas, or he went in the early second round. He was a guy who was big for Arkansas when they were making their tournament run. But and obviously the injury to Chet Holmgren. Like now you're just gonna Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. I can see it now.
Oh, that is a twin tower machine and pairing duo right there, if I've ever seen one.
The skinniest twin towers, too.
Yeah.
There's going to be very skinny twin towers. Hold on just a second. Dallas is attempting a 59-yard field goal to try to get this.
That's not going in.
Yeah, nope, he missed it right. Why would you kick that, McCarthy?
One rookie you left out of that, is Ousmane Dieng.
I knew I was forgetting somebody. Thank you.
So we'll have to see what he does as well.
Oh, he was one of their 3. He was the second of the 3 lottery picks that they had.
I said 300 first-round picks.
Oh my gosh. They're there. They're a couple steps away now. They're from being it. So you can see it now. Like Shea is that guy. Shea is their guy right now. He has to be. Like he's their triple-double guy, but so is Giddey. Giddey doesn't score as much, but Giddey can do it in all facets of the game. Lou Dort's your stopper. Somebody we didn't know. I didn't know a whole lot about. Darius Bailey is a really good wing defender. Like it's all about who the 5 is. Like it's going to either be Muscala, Jeremiah Robinson Earl. Obviously, was probably supposed to be Chet. I don't think Chet's a 5. Chet's not a 5 in the NBA. But they have Robinson Earl, and I trust that. Also Muscala, whenever he's healthy. I think he could end up being their starting 5. Because obviously you're Oklahoma City. You're not expecting a whole lot this year. Like you're not expecting a ton. But
honestly, you might want to just tank again.
You want to continue to get better. You want your important pieces to get better and stay healthy. If you're Oklahoma City, that's what you want. You don't need a whole lot more than that. If you end up with the number 1 overall pick, guess what? Congratulations, Victor Wembanyama belongs to you. And now you have 2 of the best prospects we've seen in the last 5 years. In Chet Holmgren and Victor Wembanyama. There you go. Like, signed, sealed, delivered. I'm trying to. Oh, their over under win total this year is 23.5. Tied with Indiana and Houston, and a win in front of San Antonio, who we've already talked about being bad.
Yeah. The one thing I do like about this team is how tall their backcourt is, and I think that can help a lot. Their backcourt is tall, lengthy, and all of them can play decently good defense. Even if they don't want to, I mean, their length is going to help a lot. Shea last year put up 25, 5, and 6 assists. And it's kind of like you said, I love Josh Giddey. But he's not the scorer Shea is, but he can put up triple doubles. He's 6'8". He's going to start, I would assume. He looks amazing right now so far in the preseason and stuff. He put up 12.5, 8 boards, and 6 assists last year in 54 games played. I think this team is so close. Oklahoma City fans, you guys are so close. And
Mhm.
in 2-3 years, you're a secured playoff team.
I agree.
And in 5 or 6, you might have a ring on your finger. If you can keep I think one of the biggest things here is keeping this core together, this core of young players together.
Absolutely.
Keeping Shea, Giddey, Holmgren, honestly, Poku, he's not bad. Seeing if Ousmane Dieng plays out well, keeping him. You can keep both the Williams guys. I mean, there's 3 Williams, but both the Jalen's. And if you go out and get Victor Wembanyama, oh my god.
Like you're looking at
the biggest thing is keeping them together.
Yeah. Yeah. That all comes down to money. Like we saw that they weren't able to keep the core that is now, or at that point in time, was one of the best big threes. Like that's 3 Hall of Famers, like Westbrook, Harden, Durant.
First ballot.
Oh yeah. Like I think all 3, and I love that Oklahoma City team. They were one of my favorite teams to watch when those 3 were on the floor together. Oh, it was so much fun. I loved it.
It was amazing.
Oh yes, absolutely. the good old days when 2K.
Yeah. But I mean, it's a very young team, and that's why I put the timeline farther away than what people may want. The fact that I think these rookies, they're gonna have to get experience, and I don't care what anyone says, experience helps, and it helps a lot. And this team needs the experience, and once they start playing together and gelling together, it's dangerous.
Oh yeah. Yeah. This team offensively and defensively is going to be great in 5 years.
Yeah.
If they're not, they're doing something wrong. There's way too much talent here for them to not be good.
Yeah, and to touch on that money thing a little bit, I remember what I was going to say. It's kind of like, this reminds me of, not necessarily in the same aspect of way, because this team is younger and there's more younger players who have high potential. But this is kind of like a Warriors type of situation, trying to keep everybody here. The Warriors just signed Wiggins and Poole to 4-year extensions for money. They both got paid like they were both.
They were both right around 140 million, weren't they?
Yep. I know Poole for sure was 140.
Yeah, their luxury tax is going to be unreal.
It's like 483. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, the million. Yeah, that's
million.
Yeah, I don't envy having to pay that, but guess what? If you want to pay, that's the price you pay to be good, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's the price the owner's gonna pay. So,
not me as a fan.
In the Golden State situation, it's not looking like Draymond's gonna be there. If I'm Golden State, I know we're not supposed to be sitting here talking about Golden State, but if I look at Golden State, you're looking at Kuminga, who is essentially a younger Draymond Green, who probably has higher potential.
Probably.
And
there's definitely a big yes there.
Can figure out how to shoot the basketball, at least while.
Hey, speaking of, Draymond Green, that guy. Do you remember when Draymond could shoot? Do you remember when
he had like a 87-3 in 2K16 or something?
Oh, he was so good. And then he's all of a sudden so bad. But let's get back on track. We're doing Portland next, right?
So, yeah. Portland's up next. Obviously, Oklahoma City, young, future. Gonna maybe have problems with financial issues in the future. Hopefully they don't. I'd love to see them pan out. But Portland Trailblazers, I think this is a sleeper team, not to win a championship. Not even close. But to sneak into the playoffs, I think they can do it. And I think Damian Lillard coming back, this team can do it. And there's a couple pieces over the offseason that I really like.
Okay, I'm going to lead with it. I love the Josh Hart piece. I love Josh Hart. I love that ad. I love that. Jeremy Grant, big fan of him. Big fan of Jeremy Grant. Obviously, I'm a big Gary Payton II guy from the time he spent at Golden State. I'll be honest, with a lot of other people, I've never seen Shaedon Sharpe play basketball. because he didn't
It's
play at all.
been a couple years.
He didn't play at all at Kentucky. And then Anthony Simons had to play. He was there. He had to be their guy last year with Lillard out. And then after the McCollum trade, it was him. And you got Yusuf Nurkic, who I like. Nurkic is very solid. And Nasir Little out of North Carolina. This team's really young too. Like this team is very, very young too. This division right now may not be great, but in 5 years, this may be the best division in basketball.
Yeah.
With the way these teams are set up. Because God only knows Utah is going to get better with the 500 draft picks they have, but
they're looking like OKC 2.0 now. So
we know they're going to be, and if they do that stuff right there, they're going to be really good. They're not going to be good this year, but Portland's over under win totals 39.5, and I think that could sneak you into the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think
especially in this tough Western Conference. I think the standings definitely the win call can be lower this year. My biggest take out of these pieces is I'm kind of like everybody else. I haven't seen Shaedon Sharpe play, so we'll have to see how he pans out. I mean, he looks good. Like I've seen some highlights of him. He looks decent, but that's very small sample size. And I think the biggest signing for this team is Gary Payton. I like the Josh Hart signing, but I think they brought Gary Payton in for one reason and one reason only, and it's the same reason Golden State had him. It's for defense. Because this backcourt cannot defend. Lillard is not that good as a defender, and neither's Simons. So I think Gary Payton is going to come off the bench, and I think that's going to be his job.
Yeah. Hart was a part of that. Hart was a part of the trade, the McCollum trade, and so he played. So he's got a little bit of time with him, but obviously not a lot. He obviously hasn't played with Lillard yet, so we'll see how that works. That's going to be a pretty solid. That will probably be their backcourt unless they go small. They start Simons too, which I could definitely see that happening. Because then Grant, your 4, Nurkic is your 5. This starting lineup is really, really good. Like this starting lineup is very solid, and I like the direction Portland is going. I've always been a believer in Dame. I mean, that's the one piece of this team you don't need to talk about. Yes, he was hurt last year, but you know what you're getting from Damian Lillard. A guy who can go for 40 anytime he wants.
Yeah, and that is one loyal man right there. That I will admit, I was one of the guys saying, "Why is he still here?" And I think it's the same thing with Bradley Beal. I'm one of those guys who's like, I'm still wondering why Bradley Beal is still there. But I mean, yeah, Dame, I would love to see him pull it around for this franchise. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I like the Blazers. I think they can sneak in the playoffs.
I do too. I think they're in that like 8, 9, and 10 conversation.
Yep. Last team for the division, the Utah Jazz. Oh boy. Well, obviously they've got some draft picks to say the least, as I read off earlier in that trade with Minnesota and Gobert. And they're going to be horrible, in my opinion.
Tell us how you really feel about the Utah Jazz, Hunter. Tell us how you really feel about the Utah Jazz, who's over under win total this year. Their win total over this year is 24.5. 24.5.
I can see in this Utah Jazz team is Agbaji and Colin Sexton. And yeah, that's it. So they've got 2 players that I can see a future. Colin Sexton, obviously, we know what he can do. He did it in Cleveland. Injured last year, pretty much all last year.
Yeah, pretty much all last year. That's when Darius Garland just decided he wanted to blossom.
Yeah, that's no crap. But then Agbaji, I mean, rookie, let's see what happens. I'm no belief in this team.
I really like Kessler. I like Walker Kessler. I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, was the top block guy in the NCAA last year at Auburn. Played alongside Jabari Smith. Very, very good defensively. That's his calling card. He's a great defensive player. And then you bring Lauri Markkanen in. He'll be your 4. Taylor Horton-Tucker that played for Los Angeles, Malik Beasley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who was dealt to Utah in a part of the McCollum trade. I had to bring that up to remember that trade because that was a long time ago. They drafted Johnny Juzang late.
Yeah.
Or no, they didn't even. They just picked him up.
I don't think they drafted him. Was he undrafted?
Yeah, he was. He was undrafted. I'm surprised with that. With the run he had, in the NCAA tournament the year, it had been the year Baylor won, because they got beat on that Jalen Suggs miracle shot at the buzzer. I mean, there's some pieces. These pieces aren't going to be very good. Here's my thing. Who's going to score?
It's going to have to be Colin Sexton.
Who's going to score? Who's going to score?
Okay. Mike Conley's not scoring.
This is the projected starting lineup for Utah. Mike Conley, Jordan Clarkson, Jared Vanderbilt, Lauri Markkanen, and Kelly Olynyk. Please tell me who in that lineup is going to score. Jordan Clarkson's going to average 30 if he's going to play that much. Because Jordan,
he's going to start.
I don't think he should. I think Horton-Tucker should start. I think he should be there too.
Where is Colin Sexton in this conversation?
He's their backup point. They have him as the backup point right now.
No.
No. I don't think you understand
I think
how
Colin
much
Sexton will start. If he does, it can be over Mike Conley. Mike Conley's 35.
I thought I saw something about Sexton not starting or coming off the bench to start the year. I don't know.
I mean, might be their best chance at tanking. I mean, they're going to be bad anyway, but so, I mean, Utah's an interesting team. I just can't pull myself to see him winning more than 20 games.
This was October 14th. I would assume he start. I don't know again, and we'll find out day one, but I think you're right. I do agree. I think Sexton should be the starting point guard. I trust this side a lot. I don't know what they're basing this off of, that Mike Conley's the starter, but I don't think Clarkson's a starter either. I think that's either Horton-Tucker or Alexander Walker. I think it's one of those two you see starting. I like Vanderbilt's a defensive guy and rebounding. That's what he's going to get you. So Markkanen's never really panned out. He was a high draft pick. Drafted by Chicago, never really panned out. Got sent here in the Donovan Mitchell trade, which I am very excited to talk about Cleveland. That's our last division. I'm very excited to talk about
that. Might be the longest episode.
Might be.
Yeah. But so I think Sexton needs to start. He averaged 25 in the year before when he played 60 games. I can't see this team winning more than 20, 25 games.
I'm in the same boat. In the same boat.
I mean, I think what they need to do, I mean, obviously this is rebuild mode. And I think you just need to play the young players. That's why I don't think Mike Conley's going to start. And he's also not as good as Colin Sexton, in my opinion, anyway.
I agree with you.
I think they need to play the young players. I think, heck, Agbaji might just throw him into the fire. I don't know. Like, Kessler is the only center on this team outside of
they have Doak. Yeah, they have Doak, and
you might as well as play him. I mean, you might as well as go young. You know you're going to be bad anyway, probably.
Well, so give yourself a shot at Victor. Give yourself a shot.
Yeah,
and get your young guys some experience. But no, I think this team's going to be bad.
Yeah,
I think two teams in this division will more than likely have a top 5 draft pick.
Yeah. This division, obviously, the future is bright again. It's just like the last West division we talked about. The Southwest, I believe. I mean, with the Rockets and things like that. Bright future in this division once again. And we'll get to our predictions here. And I believe I was doing the first for the West. So my predictions are the Nuggets. Obviously, I don't even think it's close. And I'm actually going to go with the Timberwolves, the Blazers, the Thunder, and then the Jazz.
I'm not surprised. Hold on, I'm trying. Okay, yeah, they have Minnesota's win total at 49.5. Yikes. So yeah, I think this division 49, and they have that's the over. In order to bet the over, it's 49.5, which I think is very doable for this team. I think 50's. I think 50's doable. I just think that's maybe a little high, but no, I may flip it up at the bottom. I don't know. I'm gonna go. Obviously, Denver, Minnesota, Portland. I think that's a lock, and I just think Oklahoma City, Utah.
Yeah,
I think Oklahoma City is just a little bit better. Those two teams are probably going to finish within 3 or 4 games of each other, and both of them are going to have more than 50 losses, unless Gilgeous-Alexander has an MVP year. The Thunder are going to be bad.
It's a race for Wembanyama, as Woj tweeted out that some GMs were saying. It's a race to the bottom more than ever. And I want to just throw this in here real quick because I was on the Thunder roster here and I completely forgot about it earlier. But Luguentz Dort, all right. You said you didn't know who this man was, a while back, whatever. This man was a bronze card in 2K, like 18, 19, 20. I remember this dude. I think it was him. He came out for free over like a Christmas thing and a locker code. So Dort's come a long way, to say the least. But that's the Northwest Division. It's going to be interesting. And that's going to do it for today's episode of the NBA. And we will see you tomorrow, actually, Tuesday, because we're recording on Sunday, so Tuesday. And have a wonderful rest of your day and a week. We hope to have you join us next time on the Two Bros Sports Podcast. With that being said, I'm your host, Hunter Smith, and goodbye.